want to know from you guys, did you try the Nightreign beta? Because I did. Okay, I played it, and I mean, we'll get the immediate stuff out of the way first, okay? Because I'm gonna put up IGN's gameplay while I'm talking about this because I didn't record any. I didn't know if we could, so I'm just gonna put this in the background. But get the obvious stuff out of the way, okay? It's a network test. The game's not done yet, so, and we also only had like 4 playable archetypes, only 1 potential like final boss. So it was a limited playtest, okay? So there's obviously stuff missing and stuff that will change and be updated and fixed and stuff. So I could complain about like the instability of the frame rate, the really bad net code that made it so the game was super laggy and would sometimes disconnect. We talk about that, but ideally all of that is fixed in the final version, okay? So I don't think it's fair to critique the package because that stuff is potentially fixed, okay? So we're just gonna say that. Having said that, looking at the content and what is actually here and how the game actually works, I am just gonna be real with you on my personal opinion. It was one of the most unfun evenings I've had in a long time. I really don't like Nightreign. Like, really don't like it. I think it's so soulless and corporate. I just, it sucks all the fun out of the Elden Ring package for me. And it actually, it's, you know, there's some live service packages and some games that just make you want to go play something else. Like you play Skull and Bones and all you want to do is go play Black Flag. This game just made me want to go play Elden Ring, which maybe is the point. They just get you to buy more copies of Elden Ring. But everything I loved about Elden Ring has been stripped from this game. All the bad things about Elden Ring are like doubled down on here, in my opinion. So things like laggy combat on the PC port specifically. I played the beta on PS5 Pro, so I was playing it there. But the network stuff could be refined and everything, so that might not be a problem at launch. But the combat was really sluggish, didn't connect super smoothly. There was a good amount of lag with it. There's some design choices that were made that just seem baffling. There's no in-game voice chat, so you can't coordinate with randoms that you match with. Meaning, like, you join a party, 2 strangers join you if you don't have friends. There's no duo gameplay right now. Maybe after launch they'll add it. They've said they're considering it. But it's either solo or it's with 2 other players for a party of 3. And there's no in-game voice chat, so you can't coordinate with those people. And this is a game that like is built on coordination and you kind of need that. So it seems like a massive oversight. The no FP flask for the wizard class is insane to me. Yes, you can technically pick up items that recoup FP. There's these little like arc things you can pick up, or there's trees and things you can refill it from. Leveling up, you know, going to a site of grace that can give you more FP. But in the middle of a boss fight, running out of FP is one of the most like ridiculous things I've seen, because you'll be in a boss fight and then you just reach a point where you're like, I can't really help. And it's really stupid if you don't have or you used all the items you had picked up to recoup that. The boss fights have been cut down and streamlined so that you're able to get through 2 or 3 within a 15-minute period during the day-night cycle thing that they have set up for the day 1. And it sucks all the joy out of the struggling to defeat a difficult challenge and overcome a difficult challenge that I loved about Elden Ring. And instead it's been simplified to the point where you're basically grinding out these little grunts to get enough runes to go and level up. And by that point, once you've leveled up to a certain level, the boss fights are trivial. And if you don't happen to get enough runes to level up and to get like better equipment and stuff, you will just get curb stomped by the boss. And so that doesn't feel like a fair challenge because you just didn't have enough of that. There's just so many choices in here that don't really make much sense. There's certain classes that work really well. The Duchess, I think everybody agrees, is probably the best one. And then there's some other classes that just don't really feel that good. But across the board, like everything I loved about Elden Ring, the exploration, the very difficult bosses, the building of your character to overcome that challenge, all of those things that made Elden Ring a masterpiece are just gone here. And instead what you have is a game that's been built to go very, very quick and fast paced. It's designed for you to kind of rush through areas quickly, to pivot into new ones, to get more loot and to collect more runes. And that already feels antithetical to the Elden Ring design philosophy. And even something as simple as coordinating with your team is next to impossible because the in-game chat is missing. And of course, you know, there's not really there are emotes and things you can use as you would expect, but it's very, very minimal, not what you would need to actually coordinate. It just seems thrown together haphazard. And honestly, if this were like a community mod made by 5 people over the span of 6 months, I'd be like, yeah, I believe it. But to think that this is a $40 full release is hilarious to me. It could be by the time we get the final version that some stuff is added that significantly improves the experience. For example, there's going to be more archetypes for you to use as your character. And as a result, that could introduce maybe more fun gameplay styles that I connect with more. That's very, very possible. The netcode could be totally, you know, improved to the point where it's super tight, super responsive, and it just feels really, really good to play. And there's no frame drops, of which there were many in the playtest. So that's ideal. Maybe the environments are way more varied in the final version, because what we saw, I mean, I'm looking at this playtest and I saw every area that you're seeing here. So it's obviously not that varied in the playtest, but maybe in the final version, it's way more varied and the environments shake it up a lot more. That could be cool and that could improve the experience. So I don't want to dismiss it whole cloth because I didn't like what I saw in the playtest, but there's a lot of games I've played playtests of, and in the playtest I love it and I can't get enough of it, and all I want to do is play more. With Nightreign, I could not wait to put the controller down and go play something else that was more fun. And I know some people have loved it. Some people ate it up and really enjoyed the beta. That's great. This is a game for you then. But for me, my sneaking suspicion was that this was a game that was going to be fun for a weekend. I personally did not expect to just totally burn out within the first hour and a half, but that's kind of where I was. It's just not for me. And I think some of the choices are directly antithetical to what made Elden Ring so good. And that's what makes it all the more baffling to me, seeing that this is coming from FromSoft. And then there's other things that we've seen. For example, if you look on the Steam page and we scroll down, they have some things in here. So you can see here, they're saying that they're going to be selling additional playable characters and bosses. That to me feels really, really bad. The fact that right now, one of the big complaints is that there's not a lot of boss variety. You know, even in the playtest, it's limited, of course, but in the final version, I think they've already said that there's going to be around 32 total bosses for you to encounter in various areas around it. And the idea that they're going to be selling additional playable characters as DLC and bosses, like that to me is, I don't like that, man. I just don't like that. It feels like we're doing Evolve all over again, you know? Like you have to buy the boss or the thing for you to go against. I don't like it. I think that's the simplest way I can put it. I was hoping I would, but I've not been so thoroughly underwhelmed by a From Software product like that in my life. I was shocked, and I hope people that do connect with it. But like, there was a point where I was going to play with some of my college buddies who also got access to the beta, and we played through Elden Ring in co-op together. I mean, we did big boss fights together and we worked on builds together. We had a lot of fun with Elden Ring together. And not only was it like pulling teeth to get them to connect and play because they just were so not interested, but by the time I had played this for one evening, before I even got to the second evening of trying it, I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's just play Marvel Rivals. I was just like, I'm good, man. I'm good. So I think it's pretty clear that this is an attempt to monetize the Elden Ring IP. I think it happens, unfortunately, to be a really lazy and half-assed attempt at it. I was hoping I would like it a lot more. I was hoping it would be a fun little thing, but honestly, after trying it, I don't think I would even. And I'm a YouTuber. I love spending money frivolously. It's basically a passion of mine. It's one of my love languages. And yet, even I am like $40. I don't think I could do that, man. I don't know, man. Yeah, lazy for sure. It's free. Yeah, all of this, Carlos, is me explaining my opinion. That's why I've said this is my opinion like 15 times. Like, yeah, I think what I said exactly was, it seems to me like a lazy attempt. That's my opinion. Good. We got there. So I'm sure some people are going to connect with it and love it. I hope they have a lot of fun, and I hope they add later things like in-game voice chat. I think that could help a lot, frankly, because I have heard some people say that when they played with their friends directly, they had a much better time than playing with randos. I hope that is something they can add, is in-game voice chat to help you coordinate with strangers if your friends aren't on during that time. But I just think it's, based on what I played, this version of the game is not for me, and I just don't like it. I just don't like it. So other people will like it, and that's great. But I'm really interested to see how it comes together in the final version. But all it made me want to do was play Elden Ring, which, I think is a testament to how good Elden Ring is, but I think it also shows why this game is just not Elden Ring. It has an Elden Ring coat of paint, but it's something different. And you might love that thing that's different, but if you loved Elden Ring for the exploration, for the difficult and like really, really skill-based boss fights, for the character builds and the ARPG elements and things, if you loved Elden Ring for those reasons, this is just not that game, and it's nothing like that. And it's by design that it's not like that. Was this made by FromSoft only or another studio? It's a FromSoft game. Yeah, no, it's FromSoft. My sneaking suspicion is, frankly, like, you remember that story from months ago? FromSoft buys rights to Elden Ring. From Software has acquired the Elden Ring trademark from Bandai Namco. I'm wondering, this was announced in February of last year. I'm wondering if part of the deal was like, okay, we'll put this out. We'll put out a live service like Elden Ring spin-off game, and we'll let Bandai Namco publish it so they can get money. They'll get that cash. But in return, we get whatever our percentage is, and we get the trademark and the rights for it. I'm starting to wonder if they did some sort of like little quid pro quo, which wouldn't be a bad idea. I think that to a certain extent, that's what Todd Howard did. Praise be. I think this, my sneaking suspicion for years has been that Todd agreed to do Fallout 76 in return for increased budgets for Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6. I think that's, and I'm sure he got a big payday too, but I think that might have been part of it. And I wonder if that's part of the deal they made with Bandai Namco to do this, because this feels much more like a Bandai Namco project than a From Software project. Just frankly, that's my opinion, but that's kind of what I sort of suspect, because this does not feel like a typical Hidetaka Miyazaki, like super artistically focused on and focused on doing something crazy different. Like, it's a bunch of copy and pasted bosses from different Souls games and Elden Ring with some kind of thrown together net code that doesn't work that great yet. Yeah, Miyazaki's not directing it. Yeah, but he runs the studio. That's what I mean. And I think the fact that he's not working on it, I think, is proof positive that it's not a typical Miyazaki thing. The age-old thing for FromSoft has been the projects that Miyazaki works on tend to be phenomenal. The projects that he doesn't work on that are from FromSoft tend to be like Bs, C+, Bs, something like that, depending on who you are. And I think that this is probably one of those where if it connects with you, you're going to love it. You're going to become addicted to it, and it's all you can play, and it's all you can think about, because the roguelite stuff tends to appeal to certain people in that sort of addictive way. But if it doesn't click with you, like it didn't click with me, it's just going to be an immediate bounce off. Just like, no, I'm good. And that's it. Encounter, thank you for the 5. If anyone here is opposed to lazy live service games, then they should be similarly opposed to Nightreign. I think a lot of it is a lot of people haven't tried it yet, because the betas were very selective. I think the best thing they could do is do it like an open beta. Do that. Maybe they've already announced they're doing that. I don't know. But if they did an open beta, just let people try it. I think that could go a long way. That's what I think they should do. But the truth of the matter is that when you are a very, very well respected and accomplished studio like FromSoft, there's a certain amount of grace people are willing to give you. And sort of out of respect for what you've done previously, people are willing to give you the benefit of the doubt when you might not give that benefit of the doubt to another like typical live service company. Or, Sony, for example, doesn't have the best track record with live service games. So you hear another live service game and you're like, here we go again. Whereas FromSoft, you're like, oh, maybe this could be good, and some people are gonna like it, but I don't think that's gonna be me. He took my thing.